Express my strong objections to the health care legislation, the unprecedented, abusive, and perhaps unconstitutional process through which it's being considered. The American people are telling us through their letters, calls, and every poll that they don't want it. Besides the fact that Social Security is unsustainable, Medicare is unsustainable, and only a few doctors even accept Medicaid as it is now, there are another top 10 reasons to reject it. It raises taxes by over $550 billion. It adds over $1 trillion more dollars to the national debt, kills over 2 million more jobs, and drives up the cost of medical insurance, gives the IRS unprecedented power over the lives of the American people, replaces your doctor with federal bureaucrats to make critical decisions about your medical care, cuts medical care by more than $500 billion, and of course, Congress is exempt. Provides for the largest expansion on abortion coverage since Roe v. Wade, including taxpayer subsidies for abortions, will bankrupt states through billions in unfunded mandates, forces American citizens to foot the bill for health care for illegal aliens inasmuch as it fails to include strict enforcement, is the result of a flawed process, having been written in secret, out of the view of C-SPAN cameras, and filled with backroom deals and vote buying. We're a nation of laws, and laws are not supposed to be ignored when they're inconvenient or simply pose a hurdle to achieving certain agendas. We teach our children to play by the rules, but this Congress is teaching them something very different. How can we expect the American people to obey the laws Congress passes when Congress won't obey its own rules? It is respect for the rule of law that has distinguished the United States from the banana republics and the authoritarian regimes. Indeed, millions of Americans, including those we're honoring today, who have fought and even died for this country, yet this process grossly compromises that principle. Clearly, Congress isn't listening to the American people and is once again ignoring their voices. There's an old political axiom that says anytime you promise to take from Peter and pay Paul, one thing usually happens. Paul votes for you. And that's where we are right here, right now, today in Congress. This is exactly what ultimately leads democracies to fail, and this bill, if enacted into law, will greatly undermine the future of our republic, the greatest nation in the history of the world that these men and women fought and died for. It's been said a democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government. It can only exist until the voters discover they can vote themselves largesse from the public treasury. From that moment on, the majority usually votes for candidates promising the most benefits. Therefore, the average age of the world's greatest civilizations has been about 200 years. These nations have progressed through this sequence, from bondage to spiritual faith, from spiritual faith to great courage, from courage to liberty, from liberty to abundance, from abundance to selfishness, from selfishness to apathy, from apathy to dependence, and from dependency back into bondage. It is not difficult to see where we are right now on that scale, but what is true is it's frightening. It's frightening. Some people think our government is some kind of cosmic Santa Claus with a bottomless pit of benefits who cannot fail. It isn't, and it can, if we are not good stewards of the gift our forefathers gave to us. We must not allow the American experiment at representative government to fail on our watch. If our founders wanted to live like Europeans, they would not have come here in the first place, or they would have turned the ships around and headed home. But they didn't. They wanted a land of opportunity, not a land of government administered, cradle to the grave entitlements. Americans don't want to go down this path toward further socialism, increasingly losing power to government. Vice President Biden said it best yesterday when he said, if this bill is passed, government will, quote, control health care in America. His word, not mine. No one believes the status quo in our nation's health care system is acceptable. There are many areas where we can find agreement, and we must move forward to fix those problems. The American people deserve better. Let them know that we know they don't work for Congress. Congress works for them by defeating this bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back.